I don't care if you're a small startup. I don't care if you're anywhere in between or even a small business. If you think this is not important, if you think you can ignore this and stick your head in the ground, it is going to hurt in the future, and not the distant future, in the near future. And it's going to hurt by, you're suddenly going to find your skills are not competitive. You're suddenly going to find your company is not competitive. Very large companies that you would never imagine could be disrupted will be completely destroyed.
Today on the Imagine AI podcast, I've got a returning guest who's not just riding the AI wave, he's helping shape it. Eric Vaughan is the CEO of IgniteTech and GFI Software, where he's leading one of the boldest AI-first transformations in enterprise tech. With over 30 years in the software game, Eric's built and sold companies, led dozens of acquisitions, and now he's doing something even more radical, rewiring company culture around AI from the inside out. He's the guy who turned Mondays into a sacred day for innovation and who believes the words "I don't know" should be obsolete in the GenAI era. If you're curious about what it really takes to lead a company into the future, not just with tech, but with vision, you're in for a masterclass. Eric Vaughan, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Chris. Wow, that's quite a buildup. And I tell you, when you say I'm riding the wave, sometimes I got to tell you, we're just doing all we can to keep it from coming over our heads and burying us in the wave. You know, so anybody in the surfing culture will understand that reference, because it really does feel that way.
I know, man. And I'm so excited to have you back. And you've got some new products. And I kind of want to jump right into your offerings, what your company is building. And so can you tell us what is MyPersonas AI?
Well, I can, but I want to tie it all together into an approach. And the approach is, there's a lot of fear out there about AI. There's always fear about any technology shift. Always is, always has been, all through time. And we can all point to, everything from the Stone Age when new tools were invented to the transition from horse and buggy to automobiles. People are afraid of change. It's no difference here, except that AI is affecting literally everything everyone is doing in every part of the business. And so our approach, you said, what is MyPersonas? MyPersonas is embodying our approach, which is we are trying to empower humans with AI, not replace humans with AI, not to deploy AI in such a way that it sounds like it's disembodied, running out there just doing whatever the hell it wants. And who knows what's happening. That's all scary to people too. Because at the end of the day, the secret for anybody inventing technology is adoption, right? That's the secret. We can spin up all kinds of cool tech and talk about how we built it, but if people don't use it, that doesn't matter, right? So MyPersonas is a product that is addressing a problem. It's that statement that people often make: I can't be in two places at once. Well, what if you could? What if you could be in two places at once, or 8 places at once, or 1,000 places at once? And not only that, perfectly speak the language wherever you are. Wouldn't it be great if you could speak 160 languages? So MyPersonas is a clone, a digital AI clone of a person themselves, right? That present themselves to the world. Best example is your conference, the Imagine AI conference. Sitting on your website right now is a little button that people can click. And if they do click it, they'll talk to Steve Metcalf, your colleague and partner in the creation of the Imagine AI event. And he will literally come up. You'll see him in a AI, video form, and you can converse with him back and forth. You can say, when is the event? What hotel should I stay at? Are there group discounts? I'm a speaker. Where can I find the agenda? And Steve's AI clone will answer back and forth. And we've done extensive work to do what's called grounding the AI, meaning don't let it fabricate or hallucinate, as people like to say. And if it can't find an answer in the knowledge that's built in MyPersonas, it will then go ask Steve the question. And here's the magic. It'll ask Steve that question because it didn't find it in the knowledge. Steve will answer the question. We have a mobile app, or he can answer just via email. And when it does, not only does it go back to the user who was interacting with that AI clone, but it will then update the knowledge of the MyPersonas with the answer to that question. So the next time somebody asks that question, the AI clone will answer. So Steve, I talked to him a week ago. It's a month out from the event. And, he's got a lot to do, a lot of things to do. Wouldn't it be great if you could stop answering the same questions over and over and over again? So with that kind of structure, he's incented to answer that question because he only has to do it once.
That's amazing. That's so cool. And so that's one use case. Do you have another use case for other businesses of how my personas would be used?
So the website use case is an obvious one. The product crawls and ingests the content of the website as its knowledge to start with, and you can augment it with whatever else. So it'll work for a one-person company, a large enterprise company, or anybody on a website. But then it can be integrated also with any other kind of software, like our product Jive, or could be SharePoint, or could be Workday, or any of those kinds of products. And for an HR manager, for example, there's a great use case. HR managers are constantly being asked the same questions over and over again. What's my PTO policy? I live in California. What's my family leave policy? I've already used all of my time off. Can I use any extra, by converting sick days? Those kinds of questions. It's the same problem in that these people are constantly single points of information and bottlenecks, and this makes them available 24/7. And it makes them available, and I think this is the key, in a human form, not a digital avatar form. There's lots of digital avatars products out there. This is the people that people know. Look, there's Steve. Like, they're going to go to Imagine AI and they're going to see Steve. They're like, I've been talking to you. What do you mean I've been talking to you? I've talked to you on your website for the last couple of weeks, asking lots of questions. Thanks a lot, Steve. Right? So we think that this is the bridge, right? Bringing AI to humans and letting humans be kind of the master of AI. So the use cases could be an HR manager, could be a product manager, could be an insurance agent at his small agency with 2 or 3 people, again, getting the same questions over and over again. Or a staffing agency. What's the status of my application? What should I expect next in the interview process? How do I apply? All of those things, right? So it's using AI to multiply the capabilities and the availability of people. And this comes back to what we have found as an organization. You mentioned in the introduction, our very broad-based conversion of our company is really the right way to put it. What we discovered was something way beyond what we thought. Originally, we thought efficiency, improvements and automation and things like that. Absolutely found that. That's true. But what we found that it really has been the gold is it freed people up to be able to do their best work, stop them from being slaves, if you will, to the mundane, constant questions over and over and over and over again, and allowed them to go, like, you handle that. Like, you sit over here. If you get in trouble, let me know. But otherwise, just sit over there and run. And that's what's happening with our product, MyPersonas, and our second product that we've also launched in the last year since we last met at Imagine AI, a product called Eloquens AI.
What is Eloquens AI?
Yeah, so Eloquens AI was born out of an internal project. It was called internally, not a very fancy name, the email engine when we first wrote it. Here was the problem. We're an enterprise software company. We have hundreds of customers around the world, and we do not have hundreds of account managers. And so as many companies have this problem, there's a section of our customers that go underserved. And we would try to solve that using traditional methods by sending out email blasts. This is very common. Hey, this is what we're doing. Hey, this is a new announcement of a product. Here's release notes of a new feature that's coming, that kind of thing. Where this failed is if we started getting responses, because we were poor, like lots of companies are, at managing that inbound. Either it took too long to respond, or the response wasn't as articulate or thoughtful as it could be, or maybe it came in a different language and we didn't know what to do then. So we said, what if we were to write an email assistant that focuses on the response side, the inbound response side? So this could be in response to a message that you sent out, like lead generation or product announcements, or it could be the catch-all inbox that every company has: info at, sales at, support at, success at, whatever you call it, that comes in. And we built Eloquens AI to be a persona. So it's a name, it's a person's name You know, we've got Jessica James, and we've got Ember Spark, and we've got Carl Newman. We just created one for a German organization in another part of our company. We wanted to spin up a new Eloquens persona. And we're like, you know, Carl Newman with 2 N's sounds good. Carl with a K. That'll sound German to the people that we're putting that up. And that AI email persona now that looks and sounds like a person. In fact, people were using it for months when it was the email engine. And we realized this is working so well for us in so many use cases. We should make this a product. Now, that's the best way to make a product when it's already working. You've already proven your own use case. And so the problem was we didn't write it with commercialization in mind. We used Zapier, and there was, a lot of paper clips and bubble gum to make it work, right? Because it was just an internal tool. And we said, we need to take this to market. So we completely rewrote it 100% from scratch using advanced AI methods and multiple LLMs that are built in. And so the way it works is an email comes in and there's AI reasoning that decides what to do with that email, because there's lots of use cases like, oh, that's an autoresponder. Don't respond to that. Or this looks like unsolicited spam. Don't respond to that. So there's an AI reasoner that goes through and decides what to do. And then it can operate in either what we call live or draft mode. So live is it automatically responds. And we use that, I'd say 2/3 of the time, we just automatically respond. Thank you very much for your inquiry. If you're interested in a position, here's the link to apply. Or thank you for your request of an invoice. We have sent that request off to our finance department. Thank you very much, right? That's live. Draft mode, maybe you want to be a little bit more careful. You want to look at what AI built as the outbound reply. So it will create the draft, and then it'll go tap you on the shoulder and say, Chris, you should take a look at that reply. It's pending to be sent out. And you go look at what the LLMs have prepared, and you can edit it or send it that way. There's just so many use cases. I'll end with one last story. As we speak today, we are in the process of closing potentially a very large acquisition in the enterprise software space. And we have, for the last several weeks, been creating what this new org will look like going forward. And for the first time in our history, and the first time in a lot of people's history, we have AI jobs. So we literally have slots in our headcount plan with 0 salary because they're AI jobs. Almost all of them are Eloquens people. They are roles that we will spin up for corresponding with vendors, requesting corresponding with the vendors when they say, okay, we need, a tax form now that you're a new company, right? That kind of thing. Instead of having to field all those manually, we'll respond to them and we'll act to them. And then Eloquens allows you to escalate also. So you put a person's name and a person's calendar in there. Customer writes in and says, hey, I understand there's been this acquisition. I really need to talk to an account manager. It will automatically CC the human in the loop. This is the human in the loop. The HITL is something that's very much part of all of our design. MyPersonas is that way, as I explained. Eloquens is similar that way. And it will even offer that person's calendar link to go ahead and book a call, all automatically, right? So yeah, super excited about both Eloquens and MyPersonas generating more time for people.
So for businesses and individuals that are interested in trying these out and implementing them into their companies, what does the onboarding process look like, and what can they expect as far as how long that would take, how much input they need to do to get MyPersonas up and running?
Yeah, both MyPersonas and Eloquens have similar onboarding. In the case of MyPersonas, our software presents a recording mechanism where you go through and you name your persona, and then you record a video and you talk for 5 minutes, or actually I think we've got it down to 3 minutes now, because that's now taking your voice sample and it's taking your video and it uploads it, and then it generates your avatar. The next step then is to define what we call the knowledge. So what would you like it to answer about? So give it files, point it to a website, integrate it with another downstream system where it's pulling the data from. And for MyPersonas, that's about the steps to get that up and running. For Eloquens, it's very similar. You're creating the email persona, and you're tying it to either Gmail, Microsoft Exchange, or 365. Or we actually own our own mail server product called Carrio Connect. We've also integrated it, of course, with that as well. You integrate that, and then you define the knowledge for that persona. You define the manager's name, who's the human that you want to be, escalated to. And it's all something people can administer themselves. They can sign up autonomously at MyPersonas.ai or Eloquens.ai and completely onboard themselves. Now, that said, we're finding that people appreciate having a real software company behind them that can help them. And we are offering our customer success managers, our CSM team, to help these customers onboard. Because in this new age of AI, even though we think it's simple, we see customers looking at it going like, I don't know what to do yet. So that's no problem. There's a lot of hand holding in these early stages. This is the difference between an AI startup that says, here's this cool chatbot, here's this cool LLM, have fun. Like, we're an enterprise software company, decades of experience, thousands of customers. We know what it takes. So that's the difference we're bringing to the AI world, we think.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I think that there still is a lot of hesitancy with a lot of these new AI tools, and each one is its own onboarding, like setup process, and a lot of things you have to commit to, and you're not sure if you're hitting the right options and doing it right. So it's nice to know that you do have that customer success team that's helping along the way as well. So, Eric, the last time we talked was a year ago, and your company was going through an AI transformation. I love talking with you because you saw the tsunami wave coming, and like, this changes everything. And this is a competition. Like, the businesses that don't implement AI, they're going to be left behind. And so you've been, headfirst into implementing AI into your companies over the last year and longer than that. But how has it gone? How is this transition gone for you?
Well, you ask me now, and I'll tell you, it's wonderful. Like, we are living in a wonderful world. And why do I say that? We now have a completely integrated team where everyone is on the same page, excited about the new technologies. We remind each other every day, don't get complacent. Have you seen the announcement today? There's another LLM. Has anybody downloaded it? Has anybody tried it? And we have built all of our software to be super modular. So we can say, buy Gemini, sorry, ChatGPT is much better again. Buy Claude, just swapping them in and out. And so we live in this really fun world now where there's two sides to our business and two sides to our team. Half of the time, and I don't mean that literally, but a percentage of the time is all about R&D every day. It's like, guys, stay on X. Stay on Reddit, read the influential newsletters that are out there, follow these articles, share what you find. But I always push them. Like, I don't want them to come to the Slack channel and say, hey, this just got announced. I want them to say, this just got announced and I downloaded it and I installed it and here's what I found. And I compared it. Like, let's just take Windsurf and Cursor, two, at the moment, super popular AI coding tools, right? How do you compare it? This new release of Windsurf really kind of moves things forward. So that's one side. Then I always remind them we're also an enterprise software company that needs to create production quality code. So they got to stop that and go put what they learned and move it forward. Today, in near mid 2025, it's great. It was not easy getting here. We gave everybody every opportunity to become consummate AI professionals. What we found out is not everybody wanted to. Not everybody believed in it. Not everybody wanted to change course at all. And so, in any cultural transformation, not just AI, but any cultural transformation, you've got people that are not aligned to the culture. That doesn't work. I mean, keeping them on board for any other reason is not a good idea, in my professional opinion, of over 3 decades of running companies. So there was a lot of turmoil. There were people that worked for us for 8, 9 years. I just would look at them and say, that we got to make a change. Like, I know. It's like, I'm sorry, got to go. And they had to go. It's great now, but it was hard. I would do it differently. What
would you do differently? What lessons did you learn in this very
tumultuous
time?
I wouldn't ever assume that you can convert everybody. I would have upfront said, this is where we're going. Everybody that wants to get there, please apply. Because some people would just not have applied. They would have opted out them. They would have self-selected and said, yeah, not for me, I'm leaving. Okay, that's a better situation than trying to convince non-believers. So, I just never dreamed that not everybody would come along. I mean, we're a tech company. Why would tech people not say, oh my God, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread? But it turns out the more technical people were the hardest ones to convert. Isn't that funny? Not the finance people, not the marketing people, not the sales people. They were all super thrilled. And now I understand why. It created autonomy for them. For the first time, they could write their own tools. They could create their own little GPTs that did things for them. In fact, the email engine that became Eloquens was initially a little project that one of our sales leaders created on his own. He even had a funny name for it. The first persona's name was Jenna Rader. First name Jenna, last name Rader. Generator, right? Very cute. But he was the one that actually created this email responder for that. And that's what became a commercial product. But the technical people, Chris, the software engineers, some of them were the hardest. They're like, yeah, that it's never going to be able to write code as well as I do. It doesn't understand this product I've been working on for 15 years. And it's like, it's going to understand that product in about 30 seconds. Like, what do you mean? I don't understand. So that was interesting. So I would definitely do that differently. If somebody's starting off now, and sadly, lots of people here in mid 2025 are still just starting off, set at the top level, CEO down. I just 3 weeks ago spoke at a CEO conference. That was really interesting. And the message at the CEO conference was, it needs to start with you. And if any of you are saying, yeah, my tech guy's looking at it, you're already blowing this. It needs to start with you. And it needs to start with I know how funny this is going to sound, your general counsel and your CFO all need to be educated on this new vocabulary that we're all learning. You need to be the one that goes into a meeting saying, so Claude 3.7 came out. Have we looked at that yet? Have we seen better results in text generation and content creation? You need to be having those conversations, right? So it needs to start from the top down, and you say, here's where we're going. Anybody that wants to come will receive full support. That's what we did. But if you don't want to come, we totally understand. We'll help you leave. That would be how I would do it now. Interesting, isn't it? Different.
Yeah. Of the new hires you made, what's been that hiring process in this new age of AI, and what are you looking for in new hires?
Yeah. So first of all, I shared this at the CEO conference. We invented a new org design. At least it was new to us. I've never seen it anywhere else. The first role that I hired was, now I refer to him as our chief AI officer. He was our chief product officer, but that was more of a legacy term. I thought, he's really our chief AI officer. Super talented guy, strong background in AI, but also fundamentally, educationally, a PhD in rocket science. Isn't that interesting? And he came in and helped me really set up the org. And we decided that everyone that we hired was going to report directly to him in his org, regardless of their domain. Finance people, marketing people, sales people. Now that sounds funny. How does that work? They've got a very strong dotted line to the domain leader. So the CFO manages the finance org. The CMO manages the marketing org. But what they do is they work with their team and say, this is what we need to do. And then they go back into the AI org and say, so this is what I need to do. This is how I'm thinking about doing it. And the AI org, not just the chief AI officer, but his extended AI org says, we've already done something like that. We've actually built something that you can go use, and here's the right way to do it. And so now we've got this mind share of AI work happening, and it's not in silos, it's all together. So I've got an org chart that I share at the presentations. We'll do so again at Imagine AI here in a couple of weeks, where that is exactly what it looks like. And so we're hiring people with titles. All of them are prefaced with AI innovation specialist. So I think you've got to say what you mean. You've got to be very upfront about it. And we're not looking for sales managers. We're looking for AI innovation specialists, sales managers. We're not looking for finance operators. We're looking for AI innovation specialists, finance. And that starts at the recruit and it says so in the job description that you need to bring a set of tools with you. We don't really care what they are. We don't have like, you've got to be great at Claude or great at Chat GPT. You just have to have literacy in AI. We are not hiring people who are just excited to learn and hope we're the place to learn. We are, but we need somebody to contribute. And then for the last year, I've personally interviewed every single person, every single role, no matter the comp level, no matter the domain, as has the chief AI officer and then the domain hiring manager. So 3 interviews minimum on each one to make sure that we all say, yep, meets our bar, meets our bar, meets our bar. That's how we built this team that now is cranking out in less than a year, multiple brand new from the ground up enterprise quality software products. So yeah, I'm glad you asked the question because I think we changed the game in how we're doing that completely.
It just seems like a vision for the future there for CEOs in the future is what they'll be wanting to do. What's your advice for applicants who are applying for jobs today and that are where AI literacy is part of the criteria?
Yeah, the conversations are super revealing. They fall into one of 2 categories. The first category is they know what Chat GPT is and they've used it, and that's it. And then the second set go beyond that. I'll just make it just that simple, right? And we ask them different questions like, what LLMs do you turn to and for what reason? What about this controversy of open LLMs versus closed LLMs? Are you aware of the controversy? Where do you keep up with the latest announcements? And all those answers to those questions are very revealing. And we get a broad section of people who just say, oh, I just turned to ChatGPT. And I said, well, why? And they would say things like, well, it does what I need. And I'm like, what if you don't compare? How do you know? How do you know it does what you need? There might be 3 other tools that are much better in some use cases. So we're looking for a little bit of diversity. We are also looking for somebody who is keeping abreast with what's happening in the industry, because face it, as well as I do, there's never been an industry like this that's changing hourly, certainly daily, like every day on X, just X alone. It's like, my God, 12 new announcements. Some you filter out as overhype and not that important, but you got to pay attention because things are shifting, very quickly. So we're looking for the curious. We're not looking for the expert. That's not it. We don't need experts. We're looking for people that believe, number one, people that believe that this is fundamentally changing everything and they want to be a part of it. And they've already got their fingers a little bit in it in a little bit more than the most basic way. That's really the way the interviews go. They're very interesting.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. I like to think about the AI wave. It's never been easier for somebody to jump in. Even if you feel like you're late to the party, you're not really, because you can jump in at any moment. And like you said, it's updating, it's changing every day, every hour. If you start paying attention, you're going to be paying attention just like everybody else who's been paying attention for longer. And the tools, the technology is leapfrogging older technology. And just with the video creation, for example, a year ago when we talked, I wasn't using AI video tools at all. And I was I was watching the news and stuff, but still doing traditional editing. And now we're using AI video tools a bunch just a couple months ago. And the technology is amazing and it's easy. And, we didn't need to necessarily jump in a year ago. When we jumped in, it was great. And now we feel like we're swimming with everybody else. That's what I think so great about this technology is that it is user friendly too. It's, you're speaking to it in natural language, explaining what you want. And obviously there's good prompt engineering and good ways to prompt it, but it's really, talking out what you want with the AI and figuring it out. But you need to be aware of the tools out there and the different technologies out there, like you said as well.
Well, you bring something up. It's a great jumping off point. So first of all, there's no question that I really do believe that you have to believe that it can help you. And we've got an ethos that we refer to loosely, and we're not alone, called AI first. But what does AI first mean? And it's funny, 2 years ago in 2023, I had a really long conversation with ChatGPT that's still available at tinyurl.com/be AI first. So any listener wants to go look at it, they can look at it. That was 2 years ago. And I was working with ChatGPT to try to create a definition of AI first with lots of examples across all kinds of different domains. The net of it really is you first think of AI for anything you want to do. Video editing, writing a speech, drafting a letter, analyzing a contract, looking at a spreadsheet, looking for insights in numbers, all of those things. It has to be, that's why I tie it back to belief. He was like, I'm just going to go let the AI try it. You have to believe that first, and you always bring AI into that. Then you mentioned prompt engineering, which I think was a horrible term. I'm so sad it ever got out there. I think it intimidated lots of people, like engineering, oh my God, with prompt engineering, and it got a little overblown. But I have a different phrase that I use. I call it doing the work. You got to do the work. And what I mean by do the work is if you just say, if you sit down at ChatGPT or any LLM and you say, write an article that sounds like me. Now I'm being a little facetious, but I see this all the time, little one sentence things. And you haven't given it examples of what you sound like or any other characteristics or any other background. And you go, that really wasn't that good. Well, no kidding. You didn't do the work, right? You got to get in there and you've got to say, I'm preparing for a podcast interview with Chris Madden. Here's Chris's last 4 podcasts. So you can get an idea of how he talks and the topics that he cares about. Now, here's the one I did with Chris last year. To keep this fresh, help me build a list of topics that I'll want to bring up. That's doing the work, right? That's giving the LLM a chance to help you. Because here's the problem. Those doggone LLMs are they want to make you happy. They want to please you. And they always sound very self-assured that everything they've said is true. That's also part of doing the work. Right? You've got to say, are you sure that's right? You sound like you're just trying to tell me every idea I have is the greatest idea ever. Is it? Could you take a contrary point of view? I have these conversations all the time. My wife will refer to it as, you're arguing with the AI again, aren't you? I was like, yeah, I mean, I don't want it to sit here and say, well, you're very astute. Like, am I? Or are you just blowing smoke? Now, as we talk here in May of 2025, this has just become a thing with Sam Altman talking about the sycophancy of ChatGPT. That with the latest release of 4.0, he first came out and said, wow, we've improved the personality of ChatGPT 4.0. And we're like, yes, you changed it. I don't know if you improved it because you made this thing just tell me I'm so smart about everything I do. And I have been able to actually get it to argue 180-degree completely different points of view. And then I'll say, so you just argued both sides. Which one is true? It's amazing. If you think about that, you've got to do the work. I come back again to the fundamental thing we talked about, 25 minutes ago. The humans are in control. The humans are going to stay in control. The humans have to resist the temptation to be lazy. Lazy is a thing, right? I mean, lazy gets a bad rap. Sounds like a bad word, but really, lazy just means I want to do the least amount of work to get the best result possible. There's nothing wrong with that. I want to use an electric drill instead of a hand drill. That's not lazy. That's just smart, right? But at the same time, you got to also know how to hold the electric drill correctly. You need to know how not to over torque it or you strip the head of a screw. I'm getting a little carried away with an analogy here, but you see what I mean. You've got to know the tool and you've got to use it right. And so it's less about prompt engineering, but it is more about holding the AI accountable, staying on top of what's happening, challenging it, making it challenge you. And you get great results when you do. They're just delightful. Like every day is like a new, I can't wait to throw that into the AI and say, so what do you see? Are you sure? Did you do the research? Deep research is our new gift, right? Go away for 10 minutes and really consider that. Search lots of websites and come back with an aggregate opinion. Anybody that hasn't discovered deep research is missing here. So
it makes me think of your intuition from a year ago when we had the podcast and saying you'll never need to say I don't know again. There's no reason to say I don't know because you can just ask AI. The extending on that is if you think of something that you can do in the world, AI can help you do it. That idea that you can have it turns into a list of steps in an AI response. And if you just sit down and do the work and prompt well and start executing on your vision, you can just create so much. And because AI is making everybody more productive, it is very curious to think of how much GDP our country could grow, and when people can just do so much more with their time. Yeah, fascinating.
Yeah, I have another prediction along these lines. I do think this is going to happen in the near term, maybe even in the next year. So I'm still beleaguered at how many super smart, accomplished professionals aren't using it. Take attorneys. I shared this at the CEO conference. I took an actual email exchange that I had with one of our attorneys, redacted all the personal information, but I put the email up in front of the CEOs and said, this really happened. This guy is one of the best patent litigation attorneys in the country. He was involved with a case with us. We were reaching a settlement. The other side was about to pay us. And he sent me an email saying, here's the settlement agreement. I think I got most of the typos out, but I'll keep working at it. And I responded to him and I said, why do you have any typos? With AI, it's a perfect editor. Why didn't you give it the agreement and say, this is a settlement agreement, and look for any obvious typographical errors as well as any inconsistencies? It's brilliant at this. And he said, oh my gosh, you're right. I thought, oh no. So here's my prediction. We're going to start seeing attorneys are going to advertise that they're AI first attorneys. We're going to see doctors who still right now, they've moved from, oh, he's one of those Google doctors talking about their patients. They Google stuff and come in here thinking they know. Now it's worse because AI has made us so much more educated about real medical things. They're going to embrace that. They're going to say, no, I'm an AI first doctor. What does that mean? Well, you didn't learn every single illness or ailment under the sun when you went to school. You're a general doctor, but you could go become so educated in about 15 minutes on anything that your patient is presenting. And they're going to start marketing that as an advantage. AI first attorneys, AI first doctors, AI first scientists. We embrace it. We don't resist it. We use it. That makes us so much better, and they're going to gain a competitive advantage. I really think that's going to happen.
Do you have a prediction for IgniteTech in 2025 for your company?
Well, we are going to continue to deliver enterprise quality AI software that customers can depend on. The prediction is we will continue to build past where we are right now to critical mass, where people are understanding and switching to, I will trust AI solutions that are coming from reputable software companies, not just AI startups who are in love with the current technology. I think that what we'll be able to do is invent things. And in the case of both MyPersonas and Eloquens, we've got patents filed on a number of our innovations, not the least of which is the human in the loop scenario. Keeping humans in the loop is really kind of our calling card. We're going to continue to do that. And I think we're going to change the conversation in the software industry, because you'll note that we don't lead with AI in our marketing and our advertising. We lead with what it does. Like, what if you could be in 3 places at once with MyPersonas? Or what if you could answer your inbound emails in perfect grammar in 160 languages 24/7, even after hours, right? That's what people buy. So I think we're going to have a hand. We're not going to be the only ones, but we're going to have a hand in helping the world understand that, once again, people buy benefits, they don't buy features. And right now, AI is a feature. It should be used to create a benefit, but AI is not a benefit on its own, right? It's a feature.
Well, Eric, I'd like to go into more of a rapid fire round. And does that sound good?
Shoot.
So you called AI a gift. Why was that framing so important for your team?
Well, because we were investing in them in one of the most important new skills, maybe since the Industrial Revolution. How could they see it anything else? We were going to spend money, time, and effort. I saw that as a gift. I hope they would all take it and love it and appreciate the gift and use it. Some have, some haven't. But that's it. It's a gift.
You exited staff who didn't engage with AI. How did that shape company culture?
Well, it certainly created turmoil, created confusion. We had some people that were very upset about that and felt like we weren't treating people well, because we didn't value all the other things they did. And for years, I understood the point of view. All the other things they did for years were valuable and were the reason they kept their job. But suddenly we flipped the script and said, that won't be enough anymore. It's not enough to be great with customers. It's not enough to be highly technical. It's not enough to understand how to debug a piece of software. If you will not morph with us, if you won't join the culture, you can't have people in a boat rowing a different direction or not rowing at all or rowing out of time. Like, you just can't. It doesn't work. And that's the picture we painted. So, yeah.
What does poisoning the culture look like in the Gen AI era?
Phrases you'll hear like, the AI can't do everything, to which my answer always is, we're not saying it can do everything, but it should do a lot of things. Revealed in that line is, I don't believe. There's not an organization, whether religious or political or corporate or family, that is not badly affected by someone saying, yeah, I don't believe, right? So it's okay for people to have different points of view, but if you are counting on them to help the boat all row the same direction, then you've either got to do everything you can to say, but you should join us. And if they won't, you got to make a change. Certainly you can do that with organizations, less family. We don't do that with the family, right?
What do you tell people that are resistant to AI adoption?
I try to lead by example. I'm not, sitting on a CEO chair saying, this is what you all should do. It's all I do. I have been more revitalized and excited in the last 3 years than I have in the previous 20. And I'm generally an energized guy and a hands-on guy, but I felt like I saw the future and I wanted everybody else to see that same future. And I'm certainly not alone in that.
Which customer-facing AI feature are you most proud of?
No question, it's the keeping the human in the loop. It's a fundamental design principle. It's what we're looking for. That's why I worry about the agentic talk. I certainly believe in the agent vision. No question about it. I absolutely believe and see the utility of it. But I want my AI colleagues out there to understand that every time you tell a human, oh, this piece of software is going to be off with your credit card, booking reservations for you, you've got this trust factor that you're going to have to, it's a chasm that you're going to have to cross, right? And so if we can help them say, oh, but only while you're in control, and ultimately you're going to have like a kill button or whatever, that I think is important. So our design philosophy is keep the humans in the loop. And that is the feature that we're both patenting in our software, as well as, making front and center for everybody. We don't want them to be afraid. We want them to be enabled.
It's a bit of a tangent, but one of the things that's hard for me to conceptualize is with these agentic agents, AI agents acting on your behalf, just with emails, for example, if you have somebody that's emailing as you to 100 people a day, but then you personally your brain's not processing that like who you're sending emails to or the responses you're getting because you don't have the time to read it. It's like, what's happening? And it's really how much time, how much can you process in a day? And so how can AI summarize everything for you? But these AI agents talking to AI agents and stuff happening without your knowing it in your brain, like it's hard for me to visualize that future.
It is, and the humans are going to have to stay in the loop. But to your point, they can't stay in the loop at scale. That's your point, right? I think that's what your point is. Yeah. It's going to be hard for them. So, there have to be rules that are built into these AI systems. It's not just summarization, but it's like exceptions. Like 9 out of those 10 emails went exactly as you prescribed. Like, I've checked it. Here's the one that didn't, and I've now brought that to you as an exception. We see this all the time with Eloquens. It's like it answered that question, but for example, I saw one this morning, an internal email where somebody asked a question and the answer was, go open a ticket on our finance system to request that. That was a proper response, except it didn't give it the link. So the poor person got this like email persona that said, go open a ticket. It's like, well, where? So we need to go fix that, right? So you've got to have these exceptions that come all the time. And I think that's a really good way to frame this, Chris. Agents shouldn't look like one layer of agents. Think about this there's got to be a hierarchy. There's going to need to be a supervisor agent even that's like, I'm looking at all these email things. Here's 10 that didn't go right. Hey, human, you want to look at these 10 and tell me what I should do about that? Okay, got the policy. I'm implementing it now with these agents. That's the way it's going to need to go. And I don't think we're painting that picture for people. We're painting a picture of one layer of agents. They're all equal out there doing myriad of things. That's going to be a big trust issue to get people's brains satisfied with the trust of letting go. What's super fun with Eloquens is when Eloquens talks to Eloquens. So we actually have multiple personas and multiple names. And every once in a while, it'll CC one of another Eloquens agent, and the Eloquens agent will respond. And there's nothing more entertaining than to see AI talking to AI.
Definitely. What's an example of a customer being blown away by your software?
Well, that's an easy one. Eloquens. When Eloquens is running on so I'm the CEO of two companies, as you mentioned at the top, IgniteTech and GFI Software. And GFI Software is a software company that we sell through partners all over the world, a set of very technical tools, firewalls, LAN patch managers, even fax software. And there's a persona in Eloquens named Sally at gfi.com. And Sally answers lots of technical questions. Oh, you want to add a user? Here's how you do it. Make sure that this switch is turned on. I've got a video of one of our partners who was on a call with our folks one day. And when he heard that Sally was AI, he had this look. And he literally said that, Sally is AI? And that was a beautiful testimonial that he gave honestly and without a request, because he had been interacting with Sally. Say, hey, Sally, can you help me with this? But Sally, what about this? Turns out Sally was just AI, but it was that good at answering the technical questions because we fed it lots of knowledge. And for months, we also curated all of its responses to make sure that it was on course, and then we let it go. So yeah, when people are using AI, don't know it's AI, boy, you've hit something. You've hit something.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think it's going to be happening a lot more. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I said this at the CEO conference, and I want to restate it. Here's the axiom that I believe everybody should be living with. If you think you're behind right now, good. If you don't think you're behind right now, you're probably doomed. And I really believe that to be true. I don't care if you're a multi-billion-dollar Fortune 50 company, of which we could all name many. I don't care if you're a small startup. I don't care if you're anywhere in between or even a small business. If you think this is not important, if you think you can ignore this and stick your head in the ground, it is going to hurt in the future, and not the distant future, in the near future. And it's going to hurt by, you're suddenly going to find your skills are not competitive. You're suddenly going to find your company is not competitive. Very large companies that you would never imagine could be disrupted will be completely destroyed. I made that statement at the CEO conference. It's not about disrupting. We've been talking about disrupting forever in the tech industry. This is destroying. This is completely wiping out the way we used to do things. For software development, no more teams. One-person teams, maybe two-person teams with AI tools are going to beat teams of 5, 10, 15, 20. They're going to be much quicker. We're going to see $100 million startups continue. Like look at Cursor, what they're doing. They hit $100 million of ARR, I think, with 15 employees. We're just going to see this over and over again. And when you start seeing large networking companies or large chip manufacturers or large computer manufacturers suddenly displaced by small companies that they used to just say, yeah, they can't hurt us, that's what's going to happen. So yeah, everybody should be living and dying by that. If you think you're behind, good, you're right where you should be. If you wake up every day going, oh my gosh, what have I not learned today? What is my team not focusing on today? And we're AI first. I'm proud of it. And I've talked a lot about that, but every day I remind my team, have you looked at this today? Have you seen it? Have you experimented with it? If you get complacent and just stick with the same tools, you're going to be stale. So yeah, and I believe that.
What's your AI consumption routine? Like, how do you stay sharp?
Well, certainly it's keeping abreast every single day. And I mean, every single day with the announcements that are out there in a variety of sources. X is a great source. I hear a lot of people saying, yeah, but X, has so much other stuff. I created a brand new profile called the GenAI CEO. I've been on Twitter since 2008. I left that thing behind. I didn't try to add that. I created a brand new persona, the GenAI CEO, and started subscribing to all the things that I cared about. Now I've got this beautiful, curated, quick 30-minute, digest every day of announcement, opinion, experience, debate, right? Keeps me sharp. And then I try it. That looks interesting. Download it and try it, right? Anybody can create code now with Claude and Cursor, for example. Anybody can prototype in Replit and all these other tools that are out there. They're just lovable. I mean, there's so many of them that are helping people like create their own apps. They never wrote code in their lives. It's amazing. So it's very free.
How about newsletters? What's your favorite go-to newsletters?
Ben's Bites, The Rundown. Those are two that I consume every single day. The AI Digest. I think I get about a half a dozen, but certainly every day I mark them as important in my inbox. They stay there until I read them. I make certain a lot of it's duplicative, of course, but that's okay. Sometimes it's not.
Do you think every company needs a chief AI operator?
I do, 100%. I think everybody needs someone, if it's not the CEO, because, the CEO of Delta has to think about flying planes and driving the airline business. But I told him personally, Ed Bastian at the CEO conference, he was the opening keynote, I was the closing keynote, and I spoke to Ed and I asked him about training his C-level staff in AI. Were they making inroads on that? And he said they certainly have looked at it. It was kind of a non-committal answer, but I think he was aware of the issue. But I'm just trying to put it out there. Don't think it's unimportant for a large airline like Delta Airlines. It is, very much important. So I think you need to bring someone in if you don't have someone that has transformed themselves, because that job didn't exist 5 years ago, except in a few select companies that were deep into ML, the old ML AI world. It's a different world. So yeah, that's what I did. I found the right guy to come in and really drive that. And that's been pivotal.
Great. And final question. So we've got the Imagine AI Live conference at the end of May here. And what can we expect from your presentation that you'll be giving at the conference?
I'm certainly going to talk briefly about what we've done, because I've repeated that enough times now. I think it's out there in many different formats, but I want to paint a vision of the future. And the future isn't a 5-year, it's a next 12-month vision. I hope to do, my goal every time I get on any platform or stage to talk is I want to get somebody who came there with their arms folded, not really sure, to realize that they got to hurry up and get back and get going. I literally had this encounter in February at a conference where a guy came up to me afterwards, and I swear this is true, Chris. He got choked up and tears were in his eyes. And he just said, I had no idea. I just want to thank you. I've never had that kind of an experience. And I'm not taking the credit for anything other than the content of what I delivered, right? I think he heard it in this very definitive way and said, oh my God, you've given me wings. I'm going to go back and fly. That couldn't be any better, right?
Well, I hope that many of our attendees have types of experiences like that from listening to you on stage and one of our many other speakers we have lined up. Looking very forward to meeting you again. And Eric Vaughan, thanks so much for joining the Imagine AI podcast.
Hey, Chris, and I'll tell you, both you and Steve Metcalf, what you've created with Imagine AI, after spending the last 2 years at conferences all over the world, Imagine AI is in a class of its own. Originally, I think, billed as the Woodstock of AI, which I really love that moniker, but it was a very unique gathering of not just technologists, but people across industry. And it created a conversation versus just a monologue, which I think is so valuable. We're thrilled to be back, which is why we've leaned in heavily to this next one. We really believe in what you guys have built, and very excited to be back.
Super excited to have you. Looking forward to it. All right. Thanks very much. Goodbye, everyone.